So, well, I think that Bujadin Boscot said that football is football, and today I must say that football is also data. Now here I have a chuleta with some questions. But Fabio, well, first of all, nice to meet you. Today is the first time we meet each other.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
Great locations, like
Fabio, first question. What do we mean by data in sport?
Yeah. So data and sports are starting really to connect each other, right? So we are living probably the biggest transformations in the last few years. Sport property are now looking data differently, luckily, and they are starting to shift from a poor media company to a data-driven company, which probably is the biggest shift in my opinion, right? LaLiga, for instance, started in 2013 to invest in technology and data, and now with LaLiga Tech we are helping actually sport properties to do things differently, to think in something differently about data, and specifically to help companies using data.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the Liga Tech, because I know that perhaps some of the audience don't know exactly what the Liga Tech is, what kind of services do you provide to companies? What are your digital assets? What are your products? Can we talk about the LaLiga Tech?
Yeah, sure.
Terms, yeah?
So LaLiga Tech project started approximately a year ago with, I would say, two big missions. The first one, to accelerate the sport industry overall. So accelerate the digital transformation of the sports properties, but also sport brands and sports broadcasters and all the media partners. And second is really to help clubs, federations and leagues to take the lead in terms of data and data-driven strategy, which basically means not just helping them on match data analysts or analysis. Like when we think about data in sport, we always think about match data analysis, tracking, eventing data, but I think it's much more than that. Data has to be there when it's about fan engagement, has to be there when it's about bringing new content enrichment strategy for our media partners, and data has to be there as well when it's about competition management, how we can enhance the competition, how the competition can be more efficient, and overall how can increase the value by time.
So the LaLiga TV, LaLiga Pass, can you describe these products?
Yeah. So they are part of the same, let's say, ecosystem that is the OTT, the over-the-top solutions. LaLiga Sport TV has been launched a few years ago with the objective to give, specifically for here in Spain, the aggregation of different federations of sports. And it's a wonderful project that we launched, I think, 2017, and in really few months, a few years, we collect more than 2 million registered users. So talking about data, this is a big data. And when it's about how we can do that, we basically aggregate all the digital assets throughout all our ecosystems, right?
Okay.
So, and we trigger marketing campaigns, we connect with users in a more personalized way, we try to communicate differently. And LaLiga Pass is the latest launch that we actually launched a few weeks ago, first in Indonesia, and now is available also in Thailand. And I think from my point of view, that I'm coming from this space, from the OTT space specifically, I believe that is probably the biggest launch for a sport league in football. So there are not too many sport leagues that have their own OTT video streaming solutions, right? Clearly, you need to balance between bringing value to the media partners, at the same time go direct to consumer with your own solution, right?
Okay, great. So we are actually seeing that sport companies are changing the approach from B2B to direct to consumer companies. So I wonder why of this shift, why are you changing, and what are the advantages in terms of data collecting?
Yeah. So we just came out from a pandemic, right? And COVID-19 brought different kind of changes. One of the big changes is clearly the shift between, but not just in sport, by the way, in pretty much in every industry, a big shift from a poor B2B traditional kind of business model to a more B2B2C or B2C in some other cases business models.
Okay.
And we see that in sport happening. I believe that sport companies, sport brands now understand that you need to have talent in-house. You need to bring the right people. You need to bring the right technology.
What do you mean by talent? How do you find talent? How do you hire? Do you have to pay for talent? How much? How much do you have to pay for talent?
It's not easy.
Because for us, for companies, it's extremely difficult to find this talent.
What's your take on that?
Sorry?
What's your take on that?
Well, I don't know. I'm all the time thinking about that, but it's really, really hard.
Yeah, it's hard, and specifically in countries in which they are maybe not so used to work in that way.
Yeah.
If you're talking about UK, US, or other country, it's probably easier to attract talent. Spain, Italy, France, even Germany, it's not so easy. But I believe now things are shifting, luckily. So we have more educations and people understand better what really matters. And I think data and big data overall and data analytics is a big part of it. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Fabio, how does the COVID-19 affect the sport industry, in your opinion?
Yeah, hugely, I would say. When COVID-19 happened, clearly there were no matches live. There was nothing going on. But on the flip side of it, the people start to go live, right? So the user, the fans started to demand content in a moment in which there were no content. Yeah. So clubs, leagues, federation has to start quicker than before the digital transformation. My opinion, basically, we fast forward 5, 7, 8 years with this COVID. Yeah. And sport industry has been clearly affected positively, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, had to be, they had to implant it, new strategy, new ways of engaging with fans, from, esports to OTT, NFTs, metaverse, etc. So there is huge transformation right now.
We're going to talk about OTT later, but I'm coming from Lines. Lines is a digital consultancy based in Bilbao. We have the chance to work with different business verticals, different companies, different brands. In my opinion, the sports company digitalization process are quite slow. I don't know why this happened in sport, because sport is so dynamic, but the digitalization is so slow. What is your opinion about that?
Yeah, look, a few days ago I was reading a report of IDC, and the report was saying that overall, without specifying the industry, but 23% of the company right now have their digital transformation plan in place. And they say 70% of them will have it by the end of 2023. What we truly believe from LaLiga perspective, and specifically with me, LaLiga Tech's perspective, is that we need to accelerate the digital transformations, and we need to help sport property brands, media partners to embrace that transformations, taking into place that you need to have this ecosystem, digital ecosystem at the real core of what you do. And on top of that, you can create different strategy according to the different kind of pillars that you want to attack. Yeah. So from, again, engagement to content enrichment to competition management.
So how is the Liga Tech helping these companies in this digital transformation processes?
So we have plenty of products that we are helping, tons of clubs, federations, and leagues. Clearly, the first biggest, let's say, support is from LaLiga Tech to LaLiga. But with all this technology, this investment that has been done in the last few years, we are now in a position that we want to help, other kind of sport property, other kind of brands, even brands that are not that have nothing to do with sports, because we have content protection tools, which, by the way, can be used not just only sports, but throughout a different kind of sectors of the industry. We do help them clearly with the video streaming solution, like we mentioned OTT. We help them with from web apps to new way of engaging with fans. We help them with match data analysis with our media coach solutions. We help them with fighting versus the match fixings with our solution as well. So, and a series of tools as well in order to compete better in the competitions.
Okay, and which kind of analytics tools and property solutions, property technologies are you using to track this data from fans, from supporters? What kind of tools and technologies are you using?
So the real first thing is, again, interconnected all the digital assets that a sport property or a brand has. That's the real first step. If you connect all of them, you can understand better your funds, right? So we use that's first party data.
First party data.
Interconnected.
Yeah.
Sometimes we include those third-party data as well, right? So we use audience data, we use financial data that we connect it with the first-party data, right? And we use like Fan 360 solutions in order to profiling the user, understanding what they're doing, understanding the behavior they're doing, why they are going out from the platforms, and they're entering other platform in the same ecosystems. So it's not doubling the number of the users. It's about understanding why they're exiting from the platforms and they're entering another if they do that, right? Yeah. So we do with a big partnership with Microsoft, clearly. So we use pretty much Microsoft solutions. We have pre-integration with Salesforce. We have pre-integration with tons of the best in class, let's say, third-party solutions that helps LaLiga Tech to build up architecture solution that at the end of the day will help sport properties.
So I assume that one of the big challenges of that is to avoid these data silos, and also to ensure that fan data is gathered and interconnected. No? So how do you work on that? How do you avoid these data silos in your data lakes, in your
Data silo is a classic, right? So when you launch a new solution, whatever it's an OTT, a web, an apps, etc., you as a sport property, you generally think to include a data analytics tool for that specific asset. You're not thinking to interconnect all your assets in one unique data lake or whatever analytics tools. So what we are doing now with the ecosystem, with this digital ecosystem, is helping to understand really your funds, understanding what kind of marketing campaigns, for instance, you can do with these funds, understanding what kind of targets you want to. Yeah. So it's about saving money, because if you know your funds, you can save a lot of money, but also increasing ROI and revenues very fast. At LaLiga, for instance, we increase 3x the ROI, and we save probably more than 100 million euros in terms of savings, because we didn't have to do a lot of paid campaigns in order to acquire users, because we know where we wanted to go, we know where the target was. But just because we had these ecosystems.
You talk about first-party data. For us, for my experience, we have now a big challenge is the cookieless scenario. Companies are actually thinking about how to deal with this feature, this cookieless feature, in which we have used cookies to track users across devices, across platforms. We have used cookies to customize campaigns. We have used cookies for everything in marketing, and suddenly different providers, Safari, Chrome, the big providers are telling us that cookies are going to disappear in the future. So we have to prepare for this cookieless scenario. This is the big deal. This is a big problem for companies. I know that some of your team are now working on this issue. How to solve it. For example, we are now focusing in first-party data mainly. We are also adopting some solutions, server-to-server solutions, to try to avoid ad blockers, to try to avoid browsers who are now blocking cookies. I think that perhaps this is going to, in the midterm, in the short term, is going to change the way we actually do marketing, work marketing. So, well, I think that is also going to be affect your sport. Okay, I know you have already told me that some of your teams are now working on that solutions.
And it's really dependent on the business model, right?
Yeah.
Because there are we're talking about advertisement, AVOD, and solution like that.
Yeah.
It's very different from subscription-based, clearly solution. So it really, at the end of the day, it really depends on the business model you want to apply and what kind of strategy you want to apply in order to increase your revenues. But the base has to be there. The base has to be data first.
So let's talk now about OTT, over-the-top solutions, because I think that I know that is one of the main products, one of your main services. How are you planning to use data to improve the experience of the user and to personalize the experience of the user in OTT? How are you planning to use the data to do that?
Yeah, user recommendation, content personalization are something that now is pretty common, specifically in the over-the-top solutions.
Well, we are talking about over-the-top solutions, but I don't know if the audience is familiar with this concept, because for me it was the first time I have ever heard about the over-the-top solution. So can you give a brief introduction to?
Yeah, OTT solution is basically video streaming platforms that helps to go direct to consumer with mainly video, right? It's a sort of Netflix. So actually, LaLiga Sport TV and LaLiga Pass are basically Netflix of sport, right? So LaLiga Pass is the first direct-to-consumer solution. It's Netflix of live football matches for the first and second divisions, plus a lot of other VOD programs, right? Yeah. So if you think about Netflix, if you think about DAZN in Spain, that's exactly what it's about, OTT.
Yeah, for example, when I know, for example, that platforms like Netflix are using data to customize the experience of the user. For example, if you have one specific role, if you are a man, if you are a woman, if you have children, whatever, you are even going to find different portraits for each of the films. Okay, you can see different pictures for the same field, depending on your profile, and that's absolutely incredible how these organizations are able to use this data to customize the experience of the user. So
you also need to have people that understand data, right?
Technology.
That's very important. So interpretation of the data, triggering the right campaigns, the right moment to the right target, is another very important topic, right? Yeah. So, and also how you communicate with them is now different. If you think 10 years ago, now you can target exactly Iñaki flavors. You know what, is this a fan of Athletic Bilbao or Real Madrid, right?
For sure that I'm an Athletic Bilbao supporter, because all the people in Bilbao are going to be an Athletic Bilbao supporter.
Exactly. So you can target Iñaki perfectly.
Yeah. So Fabio, what are the next battlegrounds for LaLiga Tech? What are meta, virtual reality? What are you thinking about? What is the future in this?
Yeah, big question, right? We are now working a lot around metaverse and specifically NFTs, right? So we are actually close to launch a few new solutions that could help, sport organization to do better and increase revenues. Because at the end of the day, what we are really focused on ROI, right, for us is very important. So everything that we do has to have a return on investment.
Yeah.
Everything that we do for a partner or for a client has to have a return on investment. So we set up with the client, we understand what is the goal, the ultimate goal. We set up together the KPI, and we track them on a monthly basis. And then we set up, you know, the proper strategy together. So NFTs is probably something that we are really care of, but also other way of engage with fans, to be honest with you. So we are also here in the market, understanding from also other parties, what are the new ways of engaging with fans that can enhance the experience of the fans, retain the fans much longer in the platforms, and so increase the ARPU of each users.
Yes, that's the role of data, to be able to make decisions from data, not from opinions. I have a last question for you, Fabio. What advice? I'm thinking about advices. What advice could you give to sport properties who want to begin their own digital transformation process?
I would say don't be scared first to hire new people, new talent people. You need to really, if you want to go direct to consumer, if you want to think to have a B2B or B2C kind of model, you need to have the right people for that, right? You cannot think to go B2C without having any single people that are not coming from that industry or doesn't have expertise. So really the first thing is trying to think out of the box, think that you really need expertise on that. Second thing is use the right partners. So work with the right partners in order to make it sure that your goal will be a success, it's not a failure. From my experience, 80% of the company are trying to engage or partner with the cheapest technology provider. And sometimes can work, but for my experience, 80% of the time doesn't work, not just because of the price, because the structure that is behind the partners is not the right fit of what your ultimate goal is. And then also the last point is think long term. I see many sport property that, you know, they want to launch something and they want to have return the day after. That's not possible in digital. You really need to think a longer term strategy. Longer term, at least 3/5 years terms. That's not so much, but it's still a good number of years in order to make sure that you can generate revenues from what you're doing.
Okay, Fabio, so thank you very much for your time here.